Swag out there and boss. Look, what's that?
And the voice of fragrance here with a gentleman that I've spoken to before in other venues, but now I get a bit more time with him just to get a bit more about himself, his background, and what he does. It is none other than Sir Leezus. Leezus, how you doing today, man?
I'm good. I'm good. I feel amazing. How about yourself?
I'm good. Like I told you before, I'm a little bit better after a little tumble I took, but other than that, I'm doing okay. Oh man, now I have one of the things just following you. We talked before on other platforms. I'm always curious about when people are in the lifestyle. I'm always curious about your origin story. Like, how did you get into the lifestyle?
Okay, so my story, pretty standard. Somebody introduced me. My ex, she was in the lifestyle way before me. She had a whole bunch of friends that were younger, dating older guys. Hot wife, stag vixen type situation. A lot of older guys with money couldn't perform. So she got introduced to the lifestyle from getting invites from girlfriends before she met me. Whole bunch of models. So my ex she was a exhibitionist.
Mm.
So um, we would do stuff like at restaurant bathrooms, club bathrooms, just be frisky in open places. That's just regular vanilla spots. This is before I knew anything about the lifestyle.
Right.
And then she asked me, would I go to a club that you could actually have sex in? And I'm like, well, hell yeah. So she introduced me to the lifestyle as an exhibitionist. So that's how I got into the lifestyle in general. Going to
Okay.
parties with her, playing in front of people. We went about 3 years and we never even had a threesome. We didn't engage with anybody else beyond the social aspect of it. Flirting a little bit, her flirting with girls, but we didn't bring anybody into the bedroom for about 3 years into the lifestyle.
Okay. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You are, at least based on our conversation, and even with you're more of a sensual. Um, so it's more sensual domination. Is a correct sort of
So I'm
terminology
a
to use?
I'm a sensual sadist pleasure
Okay.
dominant. So me, I have a large sensual aspect, seductive. I'm all about intimacy when it comes to my personal choice in engaging with someone.
Hmm.
But I can be sadistic if needed. If somebody can want me to whisper in their ear, call them pretty princess and choke them. Somebody can want me to choke them and spank them until they're purple. But that's where the pleasure dom aspect comes in because a pleasure dom is there to please. So whatever the person you're topping wants, you kind of do what pleases them. So that makes you a pleasure dom.
Okay. And now, how or where? Because one of the things that I've noticed, just from following you, there is a, again, not to be disrespectful, it seems like there's very much a performance aspect to it, as far as like you have a lot of shows, you do a lot of demonstrations. How did that part come about? How did that spring forth from, say, your what you do in your own daily personal life?
So, well, let me separate it
Hmm.
because there's a lot of people that use that term like it's degrading or as an insult to say, "Oh, he's more of a performance style," which
Hmm.
to me, I'm like, okay, I mean, that's a compliment to me. Um, I started going more towards the performance aspect because I've been an entertainer all my life. Um, when I got into BDSM, I didn't start off doing it professional. I had no interest in doing it professional. It was just
Hmm.
bedroom BDSM. I was doing it because it sparked my interest, and I wanted to incorporate it into the bedroom. So that was my interest in the beginning, starting off. And as once people saw how I interacted in the bedroom, it started sparking a lot of interest because it was different than most of the DOMs that people were used to seeing.
Right.
Everybody is skilled at it when it comes to like the basic techniques and everything. Um, Everybody is safe at it. Well, majority of the people that are recognized. But to me, I added the seduction and the intimate aspect of it. So me adding that part and making it very seductive, very intimate, very sensual was a different view for a lot of people.
Hmm.
So then when I started, when I decided to put it on as a show, it was a demonstration first. And
Hmm.
me being in the music industry for years, I had to figure out how to convert it from a demonstration to a show. Because to me, that's a big difference. A demonstration is passive.
Right.
People can walk by, they can see, they can look at it, and okay, and go about their business. A show, you're sitting down and you're entertaining the crowd. You see what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
it's not BDSM is not meant to be. It's not meant to entertain a crowd. It's meant to be a moment between you, the top, and the bottom. So I had to figure out how to bridge that gap to make it to where I can make it into an entertaining scene, but still have the um, still make it authentic to where the person is still getting that feel, still getting that journey to climax through that power exchange. So that was the barrier that I had to get over to get into the show aspect of it. And once I bridged that, it just took off from there. I started putting out content. People started asking, hey, we like how that looks. Do you travel? Can you do this here? Can you do this for this crowd? Can you? Then it started becoming a thing to where people were booking me outside of lifestyle events, just
Hmm.
as pure entertainment.
So
Because a lot of
how difficult was it to, change that or evolve that into a show? You have the musical background, but it still seems like a lot of planning and thought would have to go into it.
so performance. My big thing was always performing when I was in the music. So let me make that connection to why I use
Mhm.
that reference. My stage presence was always good. Being able to talk to a crowd, being able to see a crowd, and I would make music to a lot of music I would make would be to perform because I
Mhm.
understood like, hey, I need some songs that. So putting that together and seeing how a regular show looked, that could be kind of boring if you don't know what's going on. You can't
Right.
see everything. So a lot of people don't understand everything that I do so the crowd can actually physically see it. There's like I can't do electric play for a show because you don't know what's going on because only she feels the electricity and she's reacting, but you have no idea what she's reacting to. I have to remove that out of the show because I have to make it to where everybody can have the visual and see what's going on. Hand hitting ass cheek, you physically see that. Hand around the neck, you physically see that. Me maneuvering the person, um, giving directives to move your body in a different position, up, down. Me using a whip, a flog, or a paddle, you're physically seeing it, the contact. So I had to, figure out how I can map it out to where everything I do is seen in front of the crowd. Even when it comes to do with positioning, it's a reason why I don't use like the St. Andrew's cross because it puts my back towards the crowd. I want to be able to look at everybody's face. I want to have the bottom in front of me, have her bent over, and me see who's getting hot and bothered, and be able to take that energy, shift it over to them, lean my bottom on that person. So it took a lot. It wasn't. I didn't get it the first time. I did a bunch of shows that I felt like, okay, this is boring. If I was in the crowd, I wouldn't stay. My first show was an hour and a half long. Now I don't do a show longer than 30 minutes because 30 minutes is enough time to where you
Right.
keep everybody's attention. You keep
Right.
them right there front of center. You give them a crazy show. And by the time it's done, they're looking like, what the hell just happened? Like, oh my goodness, like that was crazy. You know what I mean? It's not enough time to go take a smoke break, to go to the bathroom, to pull out your phone and text your girlfriend, hey, what you doing? I want to eliminate all of that.
Yeah, that's really great awareness. One with, you really able to pay attention to the audience and then react to the audience. But then also, and this also goes to honing your craft, finding that sweet spot as far as, okay, how much time do I really need? What is the best amount of time to really put on a good show, but also a show that keeps the audience entertained?
Mm-hmm.
And I can, especially when you have so many things you could possibly do, so many sort of scenarios, experiences you can demonstrate and perform with. I'm sure you have to figure out, what works the best. And with everything, no question, do you have sort of the same format for every show? Is every show different?
So it's the same format, but what makes it different is the energy of the crowd and the
Hmm.
space that I'm performing at. That's what makes each show different. Um, my format is, I take them through the journey. It's a build up. Everything is a build up. So it's always going to start with the sensual stuff, start with commands, and begin to start with letting them see my energy transfer with the person. go through the sensory plate and end with the heavy impact. Now, so that's the journey from, let's say, A, B to C, right? So A is me starting with the first note on the song, because everything I do to music. So I'm listening to the songs. I know where I need to be at each part because I need to transfer to different parts when different songs come on. Now, what changes is me reading the crowd, seeing where the most energy is coming from, and then interacting with the crowd. That's what makes the show the show. Is I find someone that's really in tune to it. They're up there dancing to the song, they're singing, and then I go over to them, and then now I make them part of the show. And then the crowd is going crazy. The girlfriends are going crazy. She's engaged. Whether I make her part of the show with me interacting with her directly, or her interacting with my bottom, or her helping out with the bottom, and all that is on the fly. I do, before I start the show, I get consent from everybody within close proximity, because I never know who's going to be vibing or not. You know what I mean? So I want it to be organic, and I impromptu a lot of it, but the format stays the same. I just impromptu kind of who I'm going to flow with, what I'm going to do with them, and what part of the show I'm going to incorporate somebody from the crowd. That always changes.
Okay. Now, with your crowd, and are you booked a lot for sort of lifestyle events, or has it really expanded? I know you kind of mentioned that before, but has it really expanded past that now?
So the shows have expanded past that. Most of the shows that I do are not lifestyle events
Okay.
at all. If I get booked as a service top, which I'm just booked to set up at an event, that's a lifestyle situation because people are actually experiencing or doing scenes with me. So those are the three type of bookers I get to show, which is my most sought after booking because people want the live show. That's what they see online. Um, and then I have service time to where I would go to like a dungeon or a swingers club or a resort or somebody's party, and I would just set up with a table or a spank bench or a cross, set up my toys, and they pay me for a certain amount of time to interact with the guests. So I might be booked for 3 hours, and they may have a list of 12 girls. So I say, okay, everybody's going to get 20 minutes, and I'll go down the list and I'll engage like that. It might be random, and I'll do it depending on how many people are asking that hour. Somebody might get 15 minutes, somebody might get 45 minutes, just depending on the energy and what the crowd is. So it depends on what they're asking for. And like I said, I do get lifestyle stuff, I do get vanilla stuff, but to to me, to be honest, my promotional um, outlet are vanilla women that have seen the 50 Shades of Grey movie, but they have no idea that that's called BDSM. That is the perfect person. Somebody that saw 50 Shades of Grey, they love the movie, they saw all the sequels, the prequels, whatever the situations were, but they have no idea what BDSM is. That's the perfect person for me to put in front of my content and say, hey, I do shows in Philly, I do shows in Atlanta, I do shows in Dallas, I do shows. Now I tell them I do live 50 Shades of Grey demonstrations across the country, and they're just like, oh my goodness, let me see. I don't believe you. Showing the videos, that I'm showing my page, that I'm following now, they're showing all the girlfriends, and they're spending the next couple of weeks looking at all my videos. Now they want to see it in person.
That's a great marketing strategy for it. And also, in my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, you cross demographic lines with that sort of terminology as well, because that's something that is very much from a cultural standpoint. That's something that a lot of women, regardless of ethnicity, age, and background, they get, even if they don't really understand, they get what 50 Shades of Grey is.
Yeah, so you're able to do that because you get, if you look at it like this, you have a threshold of women that they get to a certain point in their life and they need something new. They do have people that have not been introduced to it at all, and they're still exploring, what they're into sexually, different things. But there are people that feel like, damn, I'm at the end of my road. This is it. And then you give them life. You give them a whole new world of stuff to increase the intimacy with their partner or somebody new. There's people that have no idea there's this lifestyle out there that are, 40, 50. Now they get introduced to it, and it's like, you know, it's like your first time, figuring out boys or girls. You're like, man, now this is a whole new world I can explore late in life. You know what I mean? And now I want to journey. I want to venture in there. I want to dive in. I want to see what's next. You know what I mean? I want to go see this guy, Sir Leezus, before. I want to take a partner so he can learn that stuff because I'm interested in doing that in the bedroom. Whether it's you know, it's a black, white, Asian, whatever, male, woman, trans. I've even had men come up and ask, hey, you know, where can I want to do this with my male partner. Where can I learn this at? Is there a class? Whatever, you know what I mean? So people see it. They like the power exchange. Some people want to take it into the bedroom. Somebody people want to do it as a lifestyle, but that's a genderless situation.
All right, understood with it. Now, what have you got many men say, hey, like, how do I do this? How can I learn how to do this? Especially being at the shows and maybe seeing how the ladies react to it.
So I get a lot of guys, but most of them are not serious.
Hmm.
You gotta put the work in. Like I put the work in. I went after, hey, can you teach me this, or is there anywhere you know I can learn this? What? And I went and I learned what I needed to learn. People hit me up. I tell them, hey, I'm doing this class here. Email me if you want, you know, or I do one-on-one classes. I can teach you how to sing. I can teach you bedroom BDSM. I can teach you the basics of um, BDSM. You know, I teach you the basics of power exchange. You know what I mean? Not saying that you're going to be a dom, you're going to be a pro, you're going to be efficient at it, but I'm going to give you the tools to take that and then you continue to research, continue to educate yourself. But most of the people see it for the moment. They see that women are into it. They see all the girls going crazy and they say, hey, how can I learn that? But the serious ones will follow up. You know, well, not too many of them are serious about it because it's a momentary thing. It's not something
Right.
that they want to invest in. I've been doing this for, been in the lifestyle for 20 years. I've been into BDSM for 10. And I didn't go professional till I've been professional for 3 years. And the last year I decided to leave my job, but I've been invested in myself. I invested in my craft. I invested in my brand. That's a whole nother conversation. But I invested to the point to where I'm able to do what I put out there, sensory play, impact play, erotic fixation on stage, live, not rehearsed, in front of a crowd with no room for error. Because I invested in my craft. You get what I'm saying?
I totally understand that. And the fact that this is now you like what you do full time, you talk about the brand, and that's a great segue because in speaking with those in the adult industry, like what they're doing, especially with a lot of direct to consumer stuff, it's very much about creating a brand, and that's exactly what you're doing with this. Where or what sort of avenues do you want to take your brand to? You know, I'm assuming the shows are just a part of what your trajectory is.
Yeah. So my vision is to be able to tour nation, country, out the country, and make my show an actual branded thing that hits every major city. That I'm in your city once a year, and I'm selling it out. That I'm on to the next city. I want to take the production that I have, the Sir Leezus experience, and move that to where I'm able to perform in Philly just once a month. Then I'm going to New York. Then I'm going to Miami. Then I'm going to Indianapolis. Then I'm going to Michigan. You know what I mean? I'm like
Hmm.
nonstop, just moving with that. You know what I mean? So that's the goal, to be able to create that want to be for people to see the experience. You know what I mean? So I get booked in a lot of these cities from different entities, and they book me to perform for their events and everything. But
Hmm.
I need to get to the point to where I can bring it down there myself, and you see a tour schedule for the year, and I'm doing that every year. So that's kind of my goal with Brandon, to get to that stage. Um, I can see it within my scope. It's just putting all the
Understood.
pieces together, getting the right team together to do it. But right now, you know, people just want to just keep bringing the Leezus experience, and that works for me. But I do, at the end of the day, want to have my own tour.
Awesome. Now, with that, you've also been, I don't know if it's just you're actually running them or more you more just like branding onto them, lifestyle pop-ups in Philadelphia. what's the purpose behind those, and also how, if so, does that feed into the show experience, if any?
So, like I was saying, I started off in a swinger lifestyle. So that's, you know, that's what I come from. I come from that, just, being in a swinger lifestyle. So what I saw was a need for the POC community to have a space to where they can meet new people that are in a lifestyle, or introduce people to the lifestyle. Just give them a play-free space, a space to where they're not going to where people are asking them to play. There's a lot of play going on. Just a cool, neutral, vanilla spot to bring lifestyle people to. So the meet and greet is for that. I don't run a group or nothing anymore. I don't host swinger parties anymore. I just want to have that space because I don't see it. The white community has tons of meets all through the city, all through the counties and all that stuff, whatever. We don't have anything consistent for the black community on the regular. Now, there's been the cookout munch that's new, that's out in the county, and I support them. They support me when it comes to that. But before that, for the past couple of years, there's been no consistent meet for the black community, the black lifestyle community. So all that was just me having a voice, me, having a following, and me saying, hey, this is the spot everybody's going to meet at. Come here. I'm going to be there with people. Come here. Enjoy. Come meet people. And I bridge the gap. I introduce a lot of people. Like, I'm the common denominator for a lot of the folks that come there. So I'll walk people through. If you come, I'll take you around everybody. Like, hey, it's my guy, it's my guy, it's my guy. Well, you know what I mean? So-and-so, this is Keisha, this is Ken, this is so-and-so. You know what I mean? Hey, they're single, they're a couple, they're so-and-so, this is that. And you might find a connection there. You might find some people that you might want to go out with and just hang out. You know what I mean? You might come and say, nah, I'm not really a social person. I don't like this. And that's cool. But I create the space, and you can make whatever you make out of it, what you make out of it. You know what I mean? But it's a safe space. It's an all good vibe, no drama. It's a black-owned establishment. You know what I mean? So that's where the Philly lifestyle meet. And it's just simple as that. Philly lifestyle meet. Anybody in Philly, and you don't have to be, let it be any race. But I just want to put something that is ran by the POC community, and and put out there that this is a POC meet, but anybody can come, as opposed to us attending, the white groups in the community, which is no problem because I've been doing that for 20 years. But just to give us something that we can stand on and it be respected as a premier meet and greet in the city.
Right. Understood. There's something that just popped in my head, kind of taking it back to something you said earlier. The focus is on intimacy. How much of, if any, thought have you had into, what you do, really enlightening people about the intimate aspects of BDSM versus the sort of perceptions that people have about BDSM?
So the whole thing is, to me, the main focal point of that is power exchange, right? Power exchange can be sensual, it can be feminine, it can be masculine, it can be aggressive, it can be passive. It just depends on the person. So you can't, when you hear BDSM, you just can't think, oh, he's an aggressive dominant, she's a submissive, he does what she's. It's not necessarily that. You know what I mean? Somebody can submit to me just being in my presence and just have that energy, and I can feel the person just relinquishing everything without saying anything, just by me creating that presence, that secure presence. It might be a secure presence, it might be an understanding presence. But the energy transfer, a lot of people don't understand. When you get to the point, to me, I'm big on energy transfer. And a lot of people, I'm not physically, I'm 6'5", 260. So I have that dominating figure that I can physically make somebody submit to me.
Right.
But I can gently go up to somebody, touch them on the back of their head, rub their ear, whisper in their ear, tell them, come here. Simple as that. And then they're submitting just like that.
Right.
It doesn't have to be. So a lot of people, I'm a good example because I'm a big guy, right? And when you see me do it on the sensual side, it presents a different type of BDSM. Because a lot of people think, oh, you're not beating me. I'm not submitting to you and doing everything. That's not what it's about. That's definitely not what it's about. But sometimes people have to see it in a different perspective, see it from see it from a different angle, experience it from a different type of energy for them to understand. Because a lot of us, everybody judges a book by its cover. Some people just go read the book and change their perspective.
Right.
You see somebody standing outside, bummy clothes, holes in their sneakers, with a cup in their hand, you know what I mean? Say, hey, can you help me out, so and so? We're automatically thinking that person is a bum. I'm not giving that person no money. They so and so. They might have a Lexus around the corner. They ran out of gas and they walked all the way over here. And they're like, hey, I got to get home to my kids. You ain't even giving that chance. You don't know. You know what I mean? But we're all gonna judge what we see. It's human nature. You see what I'm saying? It's the thing. The thing is, if people can have an open mind and say, well, this is what I think. Show me something different because this is what I've seen. Okay, cool. That's what I could respect. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of people that have their perceptions of BDSM and might feel like it's an aggressive nature until they see a different aspect of it.
Yeah, that's really where I was wanting to know, because I know that there's definitely a mainstream perception of what BDSM is, and when you see what you do, when you see what others do, it really dispels a lot of those notions. I was referencing to a friend the other day. There's this movie called The Secretary, and it's very much they have a sort of dominant submissive relationship between the boss, in this case James Spader, and the secretary Maggie Gyllenhaal. And that was probably, for me, and this predates 50 Shades of Grey, like that was like my first sort of visual experience of, okay, like sort of a dominant submissive relationship. And even then there was some spanking other things there was, you can definitely see the power exchange and the trust between the two. And that's one of those things for me that's like, okay, this is kind of what it's like, not so much the sort of freakishly cartoonish depictions we've seen before of dungeons and gimps, and that, and while all that's there, that's the general perception of what a lot of people have of that. So I'm glad that what you're saying really is dispelling that sort of misconception, or I should say adding to people's perception of what it's really about.
Yeah.
So before I let you go, I have to ask you here with Webster Style, what sort of fragrances are you into?
Fragrance.
Yes.
I don't know. Fragrance. Dior Sauvage.
Okay.
So that's my go-to. That's the only one I will purchase. I wore some other stuff, just trying out different things like through the Scentbird app. But if I'm gonna buy
Mhm.
something, it's gonna be Dior.
Understood. Understood. All right, Leezus, I appreciate your time, man. Let everybody know where they can find you.
So, and I say this, trust me, it works. Just Google. Put Sir Leezus in your Google search. That does more for me than somebody searching me on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. Put Sir Leezus, SIRRLEEZUS, in your Google search, and whatever your preferred social media platform is, you will find me on there. All you got to do is Google my name. Trust me, I went to the library. I did it on 20 computers, and I popped up, and I was like, yes, I crossed a different threshold. But if you want it directly, I would do it for my guy. Instagram is SIRR.LEEZUS. Again, that's SIRR.LEEZUS. But just Google me, see what comes up, see what you find. You might be able to go down a rabbit hole a little bit deeper. You stay on Instagram, you're going to be limited. You get on Google, you're going to see some things.
All right, thank you, man. Well, you guys should have seen all that flash below, including the Google Me aspect of that as well. But all the information is there, and if you're not seeing it here, it's definitely be in the show notes below. Leezus, I want to thank you, man, for your time. I appreciate it. You guys make sure you check them out. Check them out in the city near you. I believe the next lifestyle event, it was on the 31st of
31st, I
August.
have the meet and greet 3 to 7 at Lewin Shoes. It's free. Come. If you saw me on a podcast, first shout on me. I'll tell you that. If you say, hey, I saw you on Red's podcast, I shout on me. And then I have the show later on that night. That's 9 to 12. And the after party, that's the Sir Leezus experience. Night of erotic bliss. You have me performing, doing what I do. I have erotic poets. I have burlesque dancers and a bunch of fuckery. It'll be a nice lit time, good vibes. You get to see me perform live. You get to see some good erotic poets. You get to see some real sensual, sexual burlesque dancers, all pieced together in one. A whole bunch of beautiful black people in one space, all good vibes. I promise you.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Now, you should have seen the flyer pop up here. If not, Google him. You will find out more information about what's happening on the 31st, a full night of meet and greet and lifestyle information. Leezus, I want to thank you again for your time, man. Appreciate it. You guys know we are Web Style, the man, the voice of fragrance. We're here all the time, webstyle.com. Check us out, and we'll see you next time.
I appreciate it, good brother.
Well, swag out them boss. Look, is that bow tie paisley? Ah, you're a killer. Ooh, I mean, this is me right here, baby. You see this? Nah, this is. Hold on.